At the car accident scene, the hospital had only one bag of panda blood. Everyone assumed this would be a tragic drama of life and death choices. Until my affectionate fiancé Adrian, with red eyes, grabbed the doctor and roared, "Give this bag of blood to Anna." "I choose Anna. Serena, you can surely tough it out on your own." He thought he was portraying unparalleled deep affection, even moving his first love to tears. I cried too. Is this something a human would do? Just as I felt utterly disheartened, the chief surgeon picked up the blood test report and looked at him with an expression as if gazing at a fool. "Elaborate? She's just ordinary A-type blood, how would she die without this bag of Rh-negative blood?" At that moment, Adrian's facial expression was more spectacular than the emergency room lights. My name is Serena, and at this moment, I was lying on the cold surgical cart, feeling life slipping away bit by bit along with my body temperature. In my ears were the noisy voices of people, the clashing sounds of medical instruments, and Adrian's heart-wrenching roar, enough to make listeners weep. "Doctor! Save her! I beg you to save her! Use the best medicine. Use the best equipment. Money is no issue. Look, how affectionate." If the hand he was tightly holding right now wasn't his first love Anna's, but mine, I might be moved enough to die for him again. Yes, we had just experienced a car accident. He was driving, I was in the passenger seat, and in the back was his childhood sweetheart Anna, who happened to come to our city to relax. The cause of the accident was simple. Anna coquettishly said from the back that she wanted to eat the limited edition cake from the shop in the west of the city, and Adrian gently replied, "Okay, I'll take you there right now," while sharply turning the steering wheel to change lanes, completely unaware of the truck speeding from the side. The enormous crash sound, the shattering of glass, and Anna's piercing scream formed my last memories before my consciousness blurred. When I woke up again, I was in the chaotic emergency area of the hospital. I was severely injured, my left leg was probably fractured, and moving it caused excruciating pain. My ribs also transmitted unbearable agony, and warm liquid flowed from my forehead, blurring my vision. But what hurt more than my body was Adrian's attitude. From beginning to end, he hadn't glanced at me once. His entire world revolved around Anna, who had only minor abrasions and was frightened, crying pitifully. I heard him coaxing her in a gentle voice I had never heard before, "Anna, don't be afraid, it's okay now, I'm here, I've always been here." How ironic. Half an hour ago, this man was discussing with me which friends to invite to our engagement banquet, and in a turn, for another woman, he put both of us in danger, then ignored me when I was critically injured. But I was still too naive. I thought this was already the limit of pain. Until I heard the nurse anxiously running over to report to the doctor, "Director, the blood bank is an emergency. Rh-negative blood, there's only this one bag left now. Panda blood." I am. Is Anna too? I had never heard Adrian mention it. Then, I heard words that I might never forget in this life, or the next, or the one after that. It was Adrian's voice, carrying a desperate madness. He shouted, "Give this bag of blood to Anna. I choose Anna. Serena, you can surely tough it out on your own." Time seemed to stand still at that moment. I could even feel the gazes from the surrounding doctors and nurses, mixed with shock, sympathy, and disbelief. I was stunned myself. My blood seemed to freeze instantly, I couldn't even feel the pain from my wounds, only the sound of my heart being smashed to pieces bit by bit with a blunt instrument. "Serena, you can surely tough it out on your own?" Adrian, with what mindset, what stance, could you say such words to your girlfriend of 3 years, who was preparing for engagement? Using my life-saving blood to save your first love, then casually telling me to tough it out myself? I lay there, tears uncontrollably surging out, not because of the injury, but because of hate, regret, because I felt these 3 years were simply a colossal joke. Anna seemed moved by his earth-shattering choice, emitting faint, weak sobs. "Adrian, don't do this. Serena, don't speak. Save your strength." Adrian interrupted her, his tone undeniably resolute, "Everything is on me. I won't let anything happen to you." I cried too. Silently, tears flowed along my temples into my hair, cold as ice. Is this something a human would do? Adrian, are you fucking crazy? Just as I was in utter despair, thinking I really had to tough it out myself as he wished and then go see God, a calm voice with obvious displeasure rang out. It was the chief surgeon. He almost gritted his teeth as he said to the nurse, "Transfuse the panda blood to Serena first." It was like a ray of dawn, splitting the darkness before my eyes. However, upon hearing this, Adrian couldn't stand it anymore. He was practically glaring with rage, and if not for the nurses stopping him, he would have wanted to grab that bag of blood himself. I said, "Use it for Anna. Can't you understand human language? Without this, she'll die." Veins bulged on his forehead, he looked deranged. The doctor finally stopped his actions, picked up a lab sheet nearby, looked at Adrian with an expression as if looking at a fool, his tone almost tangibly speechless. "Really?" He shook the paper in his hand. "She's just ordinary A-type blood, how would she die without this?" "Elaborate for me?" The entire emergency rescue area fell into an eerie silence. All the previous noise, cries, and arguments seemed to have been muted. Adrian's handsome face, twisted from excitement and worry, instantly froze. His expression solidified in a very ridiculous arc, mouth slightly open, eyes wide and round, as if he had been hit head-on with a dull club. "WH. What?" he murmured almost unconsciously. The doctor obviously had no patience to accompany him in this tragic play. He directly slapped the blood test report onto the mobile medical board in front of Adrian, his tone cold and hard. "See clearly? Anna, A-type blood, Rh positive. Serena, O-type blood, Rh negative. Tell me, using this bag of Rh negative blood for your Miss Anna, are you planning to make her die faster?" Some nurse who couldn't hold back let out a very light snicker. This laugh was like a needle, instantly piercing that layer of awkward membrane. Suppressed discussions faintly arose around. My God, after all this, that woman isn't panda blood at all? This guy is sick, right? Not panda blood, W.H. Wyatt? Look at his earlier appearance, I thought how affectionate, but he didn't even figure out her blood type. The point isn't that, right? The point is he wanted to abandon his legitimate girlfriend's life for a first love who isn't panda blood. Scum. Tui. These discussions weren't loud, but in the pin-drop silence environment at that moment, they clearly reached everyone's ears. Adrian's face, from the flushed excitement earlier, suddenly turned pale. He incredulously picked up that lab sheet, his hands shaking badly, as if it wasn't a piece of paper, but a red-hot branding iron. No, impossible. Anna, she clearly is. He was incoherent, suddenly turning his head to look at Anna lying on another bed. Anna was also dumbfounded. The emotion and weakness on her face hadn't faded yet, mixed with immense panic and embarrassment, her face alternating red and white, as spectacular as a palette. She opened her mouth, wanting to say something, but couldn't utter a word, only closing her eyes evasively, her body slightly trembling. I didn't know if she was ashamed of lying, or annoyed at Adrian's stupidity for making her look so foolish. Perhaps both. And me? I lay there, my body originally cold from blood loss and heartache, as if injected with a strange heat flow. It wasn't emotion, but a cold clarity after extreme anger, and a nearly cruel mockery. Adrian, oh Adrian. You keep saying you love her more than anything, would die for her. Yet you don't even know her blood type? For her, you unhesitatingly sacrificed me, treating me as a discardable object. Yet you got the wrong person, performing a flawed affectionate drama? This is simply the funniest joke I've ever heard. I struggled to take a breath, suppressing the bloody sweetness in my throat, using the loudest voice I could muster at the moment, hoarse but clearly echoing in the air. Adrian, you really make me sick. He shuddered, suddenly looking at me, his eyes filled with confusion, embarrassment, and a trace of unwithdrawn accusation toward me. Was he blaming me for making him look so foolish? The doctor obviously didn't want to waste more time on this farce. He decisively ordered the nurses, immediately transfuse blood to Serena, prepare for surgery. clear out unrelated personnel. The nurses immediately sprang into action. Some started hanging that bag of panda blood that nearly fell aside for me, others went to escort Adrian out of the rescue area. The cool blood flowed into my veins through the infusion tube, bringing a trace of life's warmth. But in my heart, that ice cave he had personally chiseled could never heal again. Adrian, being pushed by the nurses, still refused to leave. He tried to explain, "Serena, listen to me, I didn't know. Anna told me before that she was a rare blood type. Get out." I closed my eyes, not wanting to see his nauseating face anymore. One word exhausted all my strength. It also drew a bloody period to my 3 years of misplaced affection. Blood type slap in the face, satisfying? Yes. But more so pitiful. For myself, and for his cheap and foolish deep affection. I was pushed into the operating room. Before the anesthesia took effect, what replayed in my mind wasn't the terror of the accident moment, but Adrian's unhesitating "I choose Anna," and his pig-like stupid expression when learning the truth later. The surgery went smoothly. Fracture reduction, wound suturing. When I regained consciousness again, I had been transferred to the VIP ward. Outside the window, the daylight was bright, stinging my eyes a bit. Guarding my bedside were my best friend Maggie and my brother Marcus. Both their eyes were red and swollen, obviously sleepless overnight, and had cried. "Serena! You're awake?" Maggie pounced over, carefully holding my hand that wasn't infused, her voice choked with sobs. "You scared us to death." My brother didn't speak, just pursed his lips hard, patted my shoulder, his eyes reddening again. He was always taciturn, but I knew the fear and anger in his heart. I'm fine now." I spoke, my voice dry and hoarse. Maggie quickly fed me some water. Just as I caught my breath, the ward door was gently pushed open. It was Anna who came in. She was wearing a hospital gown, a small piece of gauze on her forehead, pale face, evasive eyes, holding a bunch of tacky lilies. My brother and Maggie's faces instantly darkened. "Serena," she stood at the door, not daring to approach, her voice as faint as a mosquito. "Are you feeling better?" I came to see you." I didn't speak, just looked at her coldly. Maggie wasn't so good-tempered, she stood up directly, arms crossed, sneering, "Yo, isn't this Miss Anna who would die without panda blood? How come, can A-type blood also transfuse panda blood? Or come boast about how great your charm is, making a man rob someone else's life-saving blood for you?" Anna's face instantly lost all color, lips trembling, tears falling instantly. Sorry. "Sister Maggie, I didn't mean to. I fainted at the time, I didn't know anything." "Don't call me sister. I'm not that familiar with you." Maggie interrupted her unceremoniously. "You fainted? I heard you were still acting vigorously with Adrian." "Don't do this, Serena." "How come now you've turned into an innocent white lotus who knows nothing?" Anna was rendered speechless, only able to keep shedding tears. At this time Adrian also appeared at the door. He looked much more haggard, with stubble, sunken eyes, holding a thermos bucket in his hand. Seeing the situation in the ward, he was stunned for a moment, then quickly walked in, subconsciously wanting to shield Anna. "Serena, you're awake? How do you feel?" He looked at me, his eyes carrying flattery and guilt. I had soup stewed at home. "Adrian." I calmly interrupted him, my voice without a ripple. "Take your soup, and your people, and get out." His body stiffened, a painful expression emerging on his face. "Serena, I know you're angry. Yesterday was my fault. I was too anxious. You were too anxious?" I repeated his words, the corner of my mouth curling into an extremely cold smile. "Anxious to the point of not even having time to confirm the blood type? Anxious to unhesitatingly exchange my life for her safety? No. I thought Anna was also panda blood at the time." She told you before?" I interrupted him again, my sharp gaze shooting toward Anna hiding behind. "Anna, did you tell him you were panda blood?" Anna trembled all over, her head hanging lower, crying with shaking shoulders, just not speaking. "See," she admitted by default. I looked at Adrian, my eyes filled with pity. Adrian, you were deceived by her. For a lie, you almost killed your girlfriend of 3 years with your own hands. How does it feel? Adrian's face looked even worse. He turned to look at Anna, his eyes carrying doubt and scrutiny for the first time. Anna, are you really? I'm not. I didn't mean to. Anna finally shouted in collapse. Just before saw Adrian you so nervous about Serena's blood type, I felt uncomfortable in my heart. Casually said that I seemed to be a rare blood type too. I didn't expect you to take it seriously, even less expected something like yesterday to happen. What a casual remark, what an unexpected. Casually, she extricated herself, pushing all faults to Adrian's taking it seriously and the accidental car accident. Adrian was stunned. He looked at Anna, his eyes complex, with disappointment, anger, but more so a bewilderment after being deceived. Looking at him like this, I felt only immense irony in my heart. Adrian, do you understand now? I said slowly, each word like a poisoned needle, stabbing his heart, and also my own already numb nerves. You're so-called unforgettable, the love you'd sacrifice everything for, even the most basic fact like blood type is built on lies. And you, for this lie, almost became a murderer. No. Serena, listen to my explanation. He still wanted to struggle. Explain what? My brother Marcus finally spoke. He stood up, the oppressive presence from his height making Adrian subconsciously step back. Explain how you chose to save another woman when my sister was critically ill? Explain how you didn't even clarify the facts and bit like a mad dog? Adrian, our Chung family has truly known you now. Adrian was scolded speechless, his face alternating blue and white. Get out. I closed my eyes, wearily issuing the eviction order. I don't want to see you again. Ever. Maggie directly stepped forward, unceremoniously stuffing the lilies back into Anna's arms, then pushing and shoving them both out of the ward. The moment the door closed, the world became quiet. I knew Adrian and I were done. Not because he chose to save someone else, but because his choice was built on such ridiculous, unbearable lies and stupidity. This made me feel more disgusted than simple betrayal. After Adrian and Anna were escorted out by my brother and Maggie, the ward didn't stay quiet for long. Soon, my parents arrived. They had obviously learned the details from the doctor and my brother. My mom hugged me and cried as soon as she came in, repeatedly stroking my hair and face, muttering, "My daughter suffered, scared mom to death, that damned Adrian. How dare he? How dare he?" My dad stood by the bed, face ashen, silent, but his clenched fists and slightly trembling body revealed his towering rage. He was usually very elegant, I had never seen him this angry. "Dad, Mom, I'm fine now." I held my mom's hand back, comforting her, and myself. Fine? This is called fine? My dad suddenly slapped the nearby cabinet, making a bang loud noise, if not for the doctor's insistence. If not for that Anna not being panda blood at all. My daughter would. He couldn't continue, his eyes reddening. At this moment, the ward door was knocked again. It was Adrian's parents who came in. They carried fruit baskets and supplements, their faces unable to hide embarrassment and anxiety. David, sister-in-law, Serena. Leonard rubbed his hands, with a forced smile. We heard, what a mess. Adrian is a bastard. He's nothing. We apologized to Serena on his behalf. Helen also hurried forward, wanting to hold my hand. Serena, are you better? Auntie was worried to death. Adrian, that confused egg, he was momentarily anxious and lost his head. He lost his head? My dad directly blocked Helen's hand, his voice cold as ice. Losing his head allows disregarding my daughter's life? Losing his head allows shouting in the hospital to rob someone else's life-saving blood? Your Liu family really has good upbringing. Leonard and Helen's faces instantly turned pale. David, calm down, this is indeed Adrian's fault, we will definitely teach him a severe lesson. Leonard tried to salvage. Lesson? How to lesson? My mom lifted her teary eyes, tone sharp. This time Serena was lucky. Next time? Next time wait until he pushes Serena into the fire pit, then you say he didn't mean it? There won't be a next time. I spoke calmly, looking at Adrian's parents. Uncle, auntie, please go back. Adrian and I are over. Serena. Helen still wanted to say something. Enough. My dad interrupted her. My daughter needs rest, please leave. As for our two families' cooperation, it ends here. Our Ching family can't afford to climb your Lu family. These words were extremely heavy, almost completely tearing faces. Leonard's figure swayed, face ashen as death. At this moment, the ward door was slammed open with a clang. Adrian rushed in. His hair disheveled, eyes full of red bloodshots, looking like a mad demon. Behind him were nurses and my brother trying to stop him. Serena. Serena, listen to me. He directly pounced to my bedside, kneeling with a thud, startling my parents and Maggie. It's my fault. I'm not human. I'm a bastard. He said while forcefully slapping his own face, the crisp sounds echoing in the ward. I was blinded by lard. I believed Anna's nonsense. But the one I love in my heart is you, Serena. I've always loved you. To Anna it's just responsibility, childhood bond. I didn't really want to abandon you, I thought at the time. He started his set of logically confused explanations again. Looking at his humble begging, hysterical appearance, my heart had no fluctuation, only thick disgust. Once, I thought he was spirited, confident and dazzling. But now, he was like a dog that lost its bone, only wagging tail and begging. No, he was even worse than a dog. Dogs are at least loyal. Adrian, I interrupted his self-performance, voice not high, but like an ice awl, piercing all his disguises. You don't love me, you love yourself, your self-moved, deep affection persona. He suddenly lifted his head, staring blankly at me. Ask yourself, I continued, gaze like a knife. If yesterday, Anna really was panda blood, and I was too, that bag of blood given to her, I died. What would you do? You would hold my corpse and cry bitterly, say sorry to me, then turn and be with your Anna. Enjoying love on one side, treating me as the eternal cinnabar mole in your heart, to prove how forced and helpless you were, how deeply unforgettable. Right? Adrian's pupils suddenly contracted, lips trembling, but unable to make any sound. My words hit his innermost, most unbearable corner. See, I know you too well. I tugged at the corner of my mouth. That smile must be ugly, so, don't say you love me anymore. Your love is too cheap, too hypocritical, I can't afford it, and I find it disgusting. No, it's not like that, no. Adrian shook his head frantically, eyes scattered, as if my words completely shattered his last psychological defense. I love you. Serena. I really. He suddenly hugged his head, emitting beast-like whimpers, the whole person curling up on the ground, breaking down in tears. Why did it turn out like this? Anna, why did you lie to me? Serena, sorry. I was wrong. I really was wrong. Incoherent, mentally completely out of control. Leonard and Helen, ashamed and anxious, hurried forward with the doctors and nurses who came upon hearing, forcibly carrying the almost limp Adrian out. The ward finally became completely quiet. I leaned on the pillow, letting out a long, long sigh of relief. The boulder pressing on my chest that made me breathless seemed to be removed with his collapse. Settlement complete. Adrian and I were even. Everything afterward was handled quickly. My body was gradually recovering. The fracture needed time to heal, but the wound in my heart, after seeing the truth and completely severing, healed surprisingly fast. The Liu family parents came a few more times later, trying to make amends, even offering huge compensation, all coldly refused by my parents. My brother directly had bodyguards guard outside the ward, not letting them approach again. As for Adrian, I heard his mental state was very bad, sometimes manic, sometimes depressed, sent by the Liu family to a psychological sanatorium. And Anna? After the accident, she became the biggest joke in the circle. That ordinary A-type blood pretending to be panda blood, leading the affectionate male lead to rob the legitimate girlfriend's life-saving blood for love meme was enough for everyone to laugh about for years. She had no face to stay, slinked away packing her things and left the city, whereabouts unknown. See, reality is sometimes more ironic than novels. The lie she deliberately spread, and her subtle boasting, ultimately backfired on herself. Maggie stayed by my side, finding ways to cheer me up, taking me surfing online, looking at various handsome guys, calling it washing the eyes. My brother silently took over all the work of cutting ties with the Liu family, including terminating cooperation, settling assets, doing it cleanly and neatly, without letting me worry a bit. A month later, I was discharged. Back home, the sunshine was just right, filling the living room. Mom made a table of my favorite dishes. Dad was still silent, but his eyes were full of relief from regaining what was lost. I stood on the balcony, looking at the vibrant scene in the garden downstairs, taking a deep breath. The world without Adrian, the air was so fresh. The phone rang, an unknown number. I hesitated, then answered. "Hello, is this Miss Serena?" Opposite was a clean, pleasant male voice. "I'm Dr. Ethan from the surgical department of the City First Hospital." "Ethan?" I recalled, seemed to be that calm and decisive chief surgeon that day. "Hello Dr. Ethan, what's the matter?" Routine follow-up. "How is your leg injury recovering? Have you been doing rehabilitation training on time?" His tone was professional and gentle. "Pretty good, thank you for your concern, Dr. Ethan." I paused, adding, "Especially, thank you for upholding principles that day." The other end was silent for a few seconds, then he chuckled lightly, the laughter coming through the current. "That's my duty. Any doctor with professional ethics would make the same choice." We chatted simply about my rehabilitation for a few more sentences, then ended the call. Putting down the phone, I had a strange feeling in my heart. Not heartbeat, but a warmth from being respected by a professional. See, leaving Adrian, my world didn't collapse, instead, new sunshine shone in. Later, I heard from Maggie's gossip that Dr. Ethan privately sighed to colleagues, saying he had never seen such absurd and dramatic medical disturbance, and expressed sympathy for me and a trace of admiration. He said that under those circumstances, I could still stay calm and point out the key, which was rare. Maggie winked and said, "Serena, I think Dr. Ethan is nice, professional, calm, handsome, key is upright values. Want to consider?" I smiled and patted her. What nonsense. Now I just want to focus on career. Dating? Too harmful. Yes, focus on career. After this ordeal, I understood more than ever that relying on anyone is not as good as relying on oneself. Love can be the icing on the cake of life, but never the only match for sending charcoal in snow. I put all my energy into work, using my learned design and market knowledge, together with my brother, making our family brand thrive. Occasionally, I would see news about the Liu family in financial news, saying their reputation was damaged from that incident, and losing our Chung family as an important partner, business plummeted, no longer glorious. My heart had no ripples. Reap what you sow, that's all. Half a year later, at a business cocktail party, I met Ethan again. He represented their hospital to attend a medical charity project. He wore a fitted suit, less serious than in the hospital, more gentle and elegant. We smiled at each other, naturally chatting about work, life, hobbies. He was talkative, also good at listening. Chatting with him was comfortable. At the end of the party, he sent me home. Downstairs, he looked at me, eyes clear and sincere. "Miss Serena, you're special. Hope in the future to have the honor, as a friend, to know you more." I looked at him, not answering immediately. The evening breeze blew my hair, carrying the fresh scent unique to early summer nights. I thought of half a year ago, that life and death farce in the hospital. Adrian's, "You can surely tough it out on your own." Yes, I survived. Not as he wished, alone, bleeding and despairing, merely enduring death. Instead, I rose from the ashes, fully overcoming that blind, humiliating relationship that nearly killed me. I emerged as a clearer, more independent, and stronger version of myself. I lifted my head, showing Ethan a truly relaxed and bright smile. Okay. But just call me Serena. My new life was just beginning. And that old scar named Adrian had long fallen off in time and self-growth, even the traces about to disappear. What truly needs toughing out was never the body's trauma, but the heart's confusion. I'm glad I walked out. Life after discharge was like pressing the accelerate key, or like being completely formatted and installing a brand new, more efficient operating system. My world no longer revolved around Adrian. Time completely belonged to myself, and the career I loved. My cooperation with Brother Marcus became more tacit. He handled external, responsible for strategy and channels. I handled internal, grabbing product design and brand marketing. Our family's originally somewhat traditional home brand SC, under my tinkering, started injecting fresh blood. I launched series designs themed independence, rebirth, self-space, boldly using colors and lines, emphasizing furniture comfort and personalized expression. Market response was unexpectedly good. Especially that slogan I personally drafted, "Your space is the mirror of your soul, no need to twist for anyone," touching many urban women's hearts. Maggie, holding sales data, noisily ran to my office. "Serena." Exploded. Exploded again. "Say, weren't you open to ran and do meridians by that scum Adrian? This design inspiration flowing." I rolled my eyes at her, slapping a new design drawing in front of her. "Shut up, look at this new series plan." But in my heart, I had to admit, that hellish experience was like a sharp carving knife, shaving off my dependence, timidity, and illusions, giving me a clearer and more cruel cognition of self, humanity, and life. These cognitions now turned into nutrients and confidence for creation. I was no longer the Serena who needed the Adrian's girlfriend identity for recognition. I was Serena herself. This cognition made my steps light, gaze firm. The friend relationship with Ethan progressed unhurriedly. He didn't launch fierce offensives like some suitors. His approach was just right, with the doctor's unique rigor and sense of proportion. He would send a few simple stretching videos when my shoulders ached from long drawing, with note, "Designer Serena, please balance work and rest." He would comment when I posted late-night overtime coffee in moments. "Excess caffeine affects sleep quality, suggest switching to hot milk." He would also share interesting medical jokes or articles on design psychology with me. Our chats rarely involved romance, more these daily, trivial, yet caring shares. This feeling was wonderful, like building a steady, flowing tacit understanding. The first formal date was after I completely discarded crutches, able to walk normally. He invited me to see a tech exhibit on human body mysteries. This location was very Ethan, not romantic at all, yet strangely fitting my current mindset. I was full of interest in exploring human. The exhibit was interesting, from skeletal structure to neural networks, showing the precision and complexity of life organisms. Ethan beside, occasionally lowly explaining supplements in easy-to-understand language. His voice peaceful, logic clear, body with faint disinfectant mixed with fresh soap scent, not unpleasant, instead giving a reassuring, clean feeling. Standing before a huge, simulated beating heart model, I was somewhat lost in thought. Once, my heart hurt almost to stop beating for another's heartlessness. But now, it beat steadily, powerfully in my chest, gently accelerating for this mysterious world before me, and for the gentle, composed man beside. Very magical, isn't it? Ethan looked at the heart model, softly saying, "It's so powerful, supporting our lifetime, yet so fragile, needing careful protection." I turned to look at him, his eyes behind lenses clear and focused, reflecting the model's flowing lights. "Yes," I nodded, "so protect it well, not easily broken for unworthy people and things." He looked at me, gaze with appreciation, and a deeper understanding. He didn't respond, just smiled slightly, that smile like winter sun, not intense, yet warm enough. After the exhibit, we ate at a nearby restaurant. Atmosphere good, food delicious. We chatted a lot, from respective professions, to fun stories from school, to views on social phenomena. I discovered Ethan was not just an excellent doctor, his knowledge broad, thinking open, and very respectful of others. He never tried to dominate topics, nor deliberately cater, always listening seriously, then giving sincere, insightful responses. This was a long-missed feeling of being treated equally, respected seriously. At checkout, he naturally took out his wallet. I didn't compete, just smiled, "Next time I treat." He looked up at me, eyes brightening, then smiled too, "Okay." No demurring, no politeness, a tacit understanding between adults flowing. Just as I thought life would peacefully and positively grow toward the sun like this, Adrian appeared again. In a way I didn't expect. It was an industry award ceremony. SC won an annual Innovative Design Award. I went on stage as brand director to accept. Spotlights on me, I wore concise neat black suit skirt, calmly giving acceptance speech. Thank team, family, all supporters. I didn't mention that unbearable past, but each word carried post-calamity rebirth power and independent pride. Applause thundered below. I saw Maggie and brother clapping hard below, eyes red. After the ceremony, I accepted brief interviews from media backstage. Just sent off a batch of reporters, turned, saw a familiar yet strange figure. It was Adrian. He had slimmed a lot, almost out of shape, once spirited brows and eyes covered in lingering gloom and haggardness. Wearing ill-fitting suit, standing in corner shadow, looking at me complexly, with regret, obsession, and a trace, unwillingness. My good mood instantly halved. But I didn't evade, just looked at him calmly, like looking at an irrelevant stranger. "Serena." He stepped forward, voice hoarse and dry, "Congratulations." "Thank you." My tone distant and polite. I watched the live, "You're great, really." He was incoherent, eyes greedily lingering on my face, as if wanting to retrieve something lost from me. I knew, "You've always been excellent." "Mr. Adrian, if nothing else, I have other arrangements." I interrupted him, not wanting to hear these meaningless regrets. Current praises were more nauseating than initial hurts. "Don't call me Mr. Adrian." His emotions suddenly agitated, stepping forward wanting to grab my arm. I quickly stepped back, avoiding his touch, eyes cooling, "Please respect yourself." My indifference and wariness like a basin of ice water, waking him. He stiffened in place, face showing pain. "Serena, I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. I've regretted every day this half year. I went to sanatorium, saw psychologist. I'm better now, really better, give me another chance, okay?" He was almost begging, those peach blossom eyes I once obsessed over now filled with pitiful tears. If half a year ago, I might have softened. But now, my heart only had a barren calm. "Adrian," I called his name, voice without a ripple. "Between us, it ended long ago. The moment you chose to abandon me, it completely ended. Your regrets, your healing, irrelevant to me. Please don't disturb my life again." "No. It matters." He growled low, attracting sidelong glances from nearby staff. "We have 3 years of feelings. How can it be irrelevant just by saying? Serena, I know you still hate me, hate means you still care." I was almost laughed angry by his logic. "I don't hate you." I looked at him, word by word, clearly stating, "Hate is a strong emotion, needing hard energy. And you, Adrian, you're not worthy." He was like struck by lightning, staggering back a step, face pale as paper. "My life now is good, work, family, friends, and—" I paused, Ethan's gentle smile flashing in mind, tone unconsciously softening a bit, "The person I'm contacting, worthy of respect. I hope you can let go of the past, start your new life. But, we won't have any intersection again." Finished, I no longer looked at his reaction, turned, straightened back, stepping in high heels, firmly walking toward Maggie and brother waiting not far. Behind me, I seemed to hear Adrian's stifled, broken sobs. But I didn't turn back. Not once. Stepping out of the venue, the night breeze carried a chill that brushed my face, yet it made me feel incredibly clear-headed and exhilarated. Maggie linked my arm, softly asking, "Okay?" I shook head, showing a relieved smile. Okay. Just finally cleared out the last bit of garbage completely. Yes, this time, true closure. A few days later, Ethan and I agreed to see a play. Meeting, he handed me a small paper bag, inside a delicately packaged osmanthus cake box. Passed an old shop, heard good taste, brought you a box. His tone natural, as if just by the way. I took it, heart slightly warm. He remembered I casually mentioned last chat, missing childhood osmanthus cakes a bit. The play was captivating, a story about a woman finding herself amidst adversity. After the curtain fell, we strolled slowly along the night streets. Today's play reminds me of you. Ethan suddenly spoke. I turned to him, Both blooming tougher flowers on ruins. He looked at flashing neons ahead, voice gentle and affirmative. I was stunned, then smiled. He didn't mention any specific people or things, but he understood everything. Dr. Ethan, I stopped, looking at him. Thank you. Thank me for what? He stopped too, turning to face me, eyes extra gentle under streetlights. Thank your osmanthus cake. I shook the bag, and thank your, just right. Thank your appearance, your respect, your understanding. Thank you for letting me know healthy, benign feelings should be this comfortable and empowering. He looked at me, gentleness in eyes almost overflowing. He slowly extended hand, gently holding my hand with the bag. His palm dry and warm, with reassuring strength. I didn't struggle. Night wind brushed, carrying osmanthus lingering scent and city night unique air. We held hands, walking side by side on dimly lit Long Street, neither speaking again. But a silent, warm emotion quietly flowed between our tightly held hands. I knew my rebirth was not just in career independence and success, but in finally learning how to love myself. And how to discern and accept a truly worthy, healthy love. Past shadows might occasionally flash, but they can no longer shroud my future. Because I'm strong enough, and walking a flower-filled, sunward path. This path, I'll walk well.